Welcome to This Explainer. We are diving straight into a grim, dark, philosophical myth today. We're going to look at the absolute ultimate collision between the ideas of Johann Gottlieb Fichte and Friedrich Nietzsche. It's a story of absolute power, terrifying existential dread, and the profound necessity of self-destruction. We're unpacking the concept of the Herrscher des Zenith, the sovereign of the zenith.
So, picture this for a second. You've won. Every single enemy is defeated. Every frontier is mapped out. Every boundary that ever pushed back against you has been completely absorbed into your own towering will. Ask yourself, what does a ruler actually do when there is literally nothing left to conquer? Well, in the realm of supreme consciousness, this isn't some abstract dream. It's a terrifying realization of total, unblemished victory.
Let's open Chapter 1 of our story, Sovereign of the Zenith.
Okay, let's dive into this Fichtean framework. We basically have two main characters in this fable. First up is the absolute I. Think of this as supreme, unconditioned consciousness. It's our protagonist, asserting itself as the ultimate source of all reality and meaning. But, to actually achieve self-awareness, this supreme self absolutely needs an antagonist, and that is the absolute not I. The opposing outer world, external limitations, basically hostile resistance. The epic, ongoing clash between these two forces is literally the foundation of existence itself.
Now, in our story, the absolute actually wins. It establishes its own boundary, totally crushing all opposition to take a seat on a flawless throne. This right here is the zenith. It's a metaphysical peak of total clarity, complete autonomy, and perfect psychological integration. The sovereign, representing this victorious mind, has mastered every single limitation. The opposing world, it's been entirely absorbed.
And this perfectly illustrates what Nietzsche famously called the great noon, the moment of shortest shadow. At this absolute peak, the illusion of a separate, hostile, objective world just completely vanishes. The sovereign is standing fully illuminated under the blazing sun of their own consciousness. The universe isn't a threat anymore, it's just an extension of the sovereign's own will and total illumination. I mean, it sounds like absolute paradise, right? But here's the catch. Perfection comes with a really deadly price.
Which brings us to a massive twist in Chapter 2, the crisis of perfection. You see, hidden right there inside the zenith is a fatal flaw rooted in the concept of streben, which means striving. In Fichtean philosophy, the conscious self, the I, simply cannot exist in a vacuum of pure, static perfection. Its very nature is fundamentally rooted in striving and constant, unrelenting activity. Without a struggle, without something to actually push back against, the Fichtean entity just ceases to be. And this leads to a massive metaphysical crisis, stagnation at the peak. Just imagine the sheer existential horror of this moment for the sovereign. They're sitting on this flawless throne, basking in the great noon. But because they've run out of boundaries to conquer, their very self-awareness starts to dissolve. The lack of resistance literally threatens to unmake them. They are slowly fading away, dissolving in their own inescapable light. To survive this, something unbelievably drastic has to happen. Enter the dark, necessary solution. Chapter 3. The Call of the Abyss.
To maintain its dynamic nature and literally save its own existence, the ruler has to make the unthinkable choice. They have to step off the throne. This is the Nietzschean concept of Untergang, or going under. The sovereign must willingly sacrifice their static perfection. They have to plunge downward, away from the light, to project a radical, terrifying new boundary for themselves to fight against.
So what exactly is that new boundary? It's the abyss, the ultimate, chaotic not I. It's this unmapped territory defined as evil, and not necessarily in a moral sense, but philosophically defined as total, unyielding resistance to the mind's order. It's a realm where the sovereign's laws hold absolutely zero power. The absolute I must deliberately create this terrifying, untamed frontier as a brand new field for existential conquest. They literally have to invent a new monster in the dark just to have something to wrestle with. And that leads right into the climax of our fable. Chapter 4, Descent into the Void. We can actually chart this tragic, inevitable fall step by step. Phase 1 is the brink. The Fichtean I willingly projects that terrifying new not I just to break its own stagnation. In archetypal terms, our ruler stands up, leaves the total safety of the throne, and prepares to face the primordial shadow. Then, phase 2 is the crossing. Those perfectly clear boundaries won at the zenith, they begin to blur and fragment. This is the active Untergang, the literal going under. The sovereign is sacrificing their flawless perfection in real time. Finally, phase 3, the submersion. The Fichtean I hits rock bottom. It directly confronts the evil, that total chaotic resistance to order. Archetypally, the sovereign is now integrating the absolute darkest aspects of reality. The old ruler is dead, and something entirely new is taking shape in the void. So, the crucial point here is that we have fundamentally redefined what sovereignty even means. This descent into chaotic evil, it is not a defeat. It shifts the very nature of rulership from static preservation to active conquest. And paradoxically, this absolute power is executed through self-destruction. By willingly plunging into the chaotic, not I, the sovereign proves a mind-blowing point. They are totally, unconditionally free. They aren't even bound by their own highest achievements. Which brings us to our final chapter, the cosmic creator-destroyer. Out of all that self-destruction, a new identity is forged. The static overlord is totally gone, replaced by a cosmic creator-destroyer. How exactly does this happen? Well, first, you shatter the static perfection of the zenith. You literally break the glass of your own paradise. Second, you plunge into the chaotic not I, fully embracing the ultimate resistance of the abyss. And third, from that terrifying void, you reconstruct a completely new reality. Think of it like an artist burning their absolute masterpiece just to free themselves up to paint something completely unprecedented, or an empire dismantling its own borders to spark a new era of exploration. The striving just starts all over again. The cycle of consciousness renews itself.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, let it be this core takeaway. True sovereignty is not merely ruling from the safety of the highest peak. I mean, anyone can sit on a throne once the war is over. True, unconditioned freedom means possessing the power to shatter that very peak, to destroy your own absolute safety, conquer the darkest depths, and rebuild reality entirely from the void.
I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. We all strive for our own version of the zenith, right? That perfect moment of clarity and total success. But as we've just seen, staying there can actually be the ultimate trap. So to claim your true freedom, what perfect peak in your own life are you willing to destroy? Where is your stagnation right now? And are you brave enough to project a new abyss to conquer? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Fichtean and Nietzschean mythos. Keep striving, and I'll see you in the next explainer.